Hi, today I want to talk about menarche. So, menarche, for the ones of you that don't know, it's the onset of menstruation. So, it's when a girl starts her fertile journey, when she starts being a fertile being, right? So, she starts being cyclical. So we talked about just recently at a video that I did about menopause. So if menopause is the end of the fertile years, then menarche is the beginning of the fertile years. In the middle, the whole journey of a woman, an adult woman, while she's fertile, lasts for about 35, 40 years. That period is these two rites of passages are like two bookends, right? To the middle, to a big chunk of a woman's life. In the video that I did about menopause as a rite of passage, I spoke about the importance of rites of passages. So, rites of passages, and please go and watch that video if you haven't. I did start from menopause and perimenopause because I'm going through this phase, so it feels really, really alive in my world. But yeah, of course, we have to trace back our steps and see how we started this journey, which is, of course, menarche. So, rites of passages have completely lost their importance in modern day society. So most of us don't create rites of passages for the biological rites that a woman goes through. Of course, birth is very celebrated. So apart from birth, birth is a rite of passage for a woman when she becomes a mother. But menarche and menopause don't really have a place in cultures. It's really important that we make space in our culture for both menarche and menopause. The reason being, we tend to live as if everything is not a continuation of who we were. So we get a lot of us, a lot of women get to menopause and we're like really struggling, having a really hard time. And we forget that actually this is a journey. Menopause, as I explained in my prior video, is the harvest, right? It's the harvest of a woman's life. But what is she harvesting? When did she start planting? Well, she started planting back then at menarche. So it's very, very important because your girl is not going to know any of that. And I'd say, probably it's not good for you to even share with your girl stuff like that at this point. She's not even going to retain, she's going to think it's boring, most likely. Okay. Some girls, exceptions, but so, this is not even for you to tell your girl at this point. It's mostly for you to know this information, to know how to hold your girl as she's going through her rite of passage. Also, you don't really need to sweat if you didn't do anything special when she got her first period. Of course, it's beautiful if you do. And if your girl hasn't got her first period yet, that's a perfect time to start preparing and doing something special for her and mark that time in her life. But a rite of passage in a woman's life, rites of passages, they're kind of extended periods. So it's not necessarily just when she has her first bleed. It's the whole journey of becoming a woman. Everything that's happening in her world during that phase is telling her what it is to be a woman. And of course, we know that, even unconsciously, when a girl is starting to watch, if you have teenager girls in your house, if you know any teenager girls, and you see that they start looking for references in magazines or in their peers or in older kids, how to dress, how to be, what's cool. They look for inspiration in the arts, in music, pop stars, and so the thing is, the problem that we have in these modern women is that this knowledge of the wisdom of the cyclical body is completely lost, right? It's not something that our girls are going to find from culture. So we're already, we're already not cool. For starters, we're already not going to be cool. So just take that on. You're not going to be cool for your girl. So don't worry about that. But this information is just for you to understand how to hold your girl. So of course she's gonna start having hormonal changes before she has her menarche. And there are videos that I'm gonna do. They're more specifically gonna talk about the hormones and talk about the details of all of that. These first videos that I'm doing about the rites of passages, they're more a big picture, an eagle eye view of the rites of passages and culture and how, we end up shaping our girls to become women that dishonor their cycles, and that starts in menarche. So then I'm just trying to do a very big picture so we understand how this broken lineage. So when a girl doesn't see her mom, being proud of her rhythm or understanding her rhythm. And here again, I'm not blaming anybody. I wasn't raised this way. My mom wasn't raised this way. My grandmother wasn't raised this way. So there's no one to blame. It's a lot of confusion. I've been writing a lot about it, but it's good for us to notice that this wisdom is there, therefore lost. And when it's lost, we have consequences. It's not that because we're not gonna blame ourselves, which is, I think it's a great place to start, not be blaming ourselves or anyone else, is to take agency to reflect. A few videos ago, I talked about women needing to develop this philosophical relationship to reality in the world. And some people have asked me, why just women? And I don't mean just women. I think everyone should develop a philosophical relationship with reality. The thing is that women are a part of a society that has completely bypassed a woman's natural rhythm and the natural way that she's meant to create things in the world and operate things in the world. And because this has been completely bypassed and just completely forgotten over the centuries, and now the systems we have co-created are very established. What we see as pop culture, what we see as art, I'm not talking about fringe art. There's lots of fringe artists or artists really raising this flag, which is beautiful. But I'm talking about things that will influence teenager girls, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls. They're looking at artists and they're not finding models, right? They're not finding models, people that show them how it is to be a cyclical woman. What's that? Why is that different than being a man? So we don't have understanding of that because we haven't really been initiated in a way that harnesses those capacities. So when a girl starts cycling, she's doesn't, the journey of actually having a rhythm in her cycle takes a while. So it takes about 5 years for her to really have a rhythm and to be able to even map her flow and really feel into her flow. So for a long time, if you talk to your girl about, the intelligence of ovulation, all this kind of stuff, is just gonna fall in deaf ears. I'd say that's not wisdom for her yet. You can let her live her life and observe how she's living. But you can start planting seeds for her to start being proud of her female body. So she will start feeling different to when she was before she was cyclical. Now, one way of explaining, and I did explain what rites of passages mean in my last video, but just to summarize here, a rite of passage is not meant to be easy. It's not meant to, as we become progressively more adults in this life, we're supposed to learn how to live with more, let's call it difficulties. Like we're not meant to focus only on ourselves and just completely cruise in our lives as if life was super easy as when you are a teenager, which, by the way, I'm not saying that teenagers have an easy time. I'm just saying that it's a time in which they're developing their egos and it's okay to be really self-focused. After the teenager phase, you're actually, when you're turning into an adult, you're learning more and more how to become an adult, right? How to, the responsibilities of being an adult. So for a woman, what does that mean? You're gonna potentially have a baby. There are interruptions to your life when you have a baby. And there are interruptions in your life, I mean, period, pun not intended, just interruptions. And that's okay. So you learn how to live more with more awareness of a particular rhythm. If you are, let's say that you want to have a family, if a woman wants to have a family, which is the case for a lot of women. So having a period, so when she's a kid, she doesn't have to think twice. She can do whatever she wants. She just jumps in the river and her immune system is, she doesn't have to think of when she has cramps. She doesn't have to think of, oh, am I going to get a period today? Or should I swim today? She doesn't have to think much. She can just go and do things. She's starting to practice. I mean, on the first basic level, when she starts having a period, she won't notice that she's cyclical. So she's not going to notice her cyclical mind and how much she changes throughout her whole cycle. But what she will notice is that she bleeds at some point in her month. So in a girl's mind, she'll probably be imagining herself more to be aligned with a menstrual, her menstrual period, her period in the middle for 3 or 4 days, as opposed to actually being a rhythmic being, which is producing estrogen and then ovulating, and then progesterone peaks at about day 21, and then it decreases, and then she bleeds. So you have these very big polarities, which is ovulation and menstruation, like summer and winter, and then you have the coming out of winter into summer, which is the estrogen, the follicular phase. And then you have the phase of the coming out of summer into winter, which is the luteal phase. Really, the girl is probably not going to notice any of that. And maybe some girls are open, and if they're open, beautiful. If you show your girl, she's 15, and you show her this video and she's keen, amazing. But I'd say don't put her off in case she's not keen to watch that. And if she thinks it's like, not for her, she's not entirely wrong. So the reason I'm doing this video is more tailored for parents of girls and boys, really, to be frank, because we like I said before, we co-live in this world. So both the parents of girls and boys kind of need to understand what's happening with both sexes during puberty. And this is what's happening with a girl. So there's some bits of information that maybe a girl will be interested. She might, in my case, my girl asks me few questions. She's not, maybe because I work with this, she's not super open to what I suggest. However, I did do a rite of passage for her, and I did it with a bunch of moms of the region where I live and her class, and it was beautiful. So I just wanted to share that with you to inspire you in case you want to do something similar to your girl. So instead of, hiring, so I, conducted rites of passages. So for people that wanted me to come and conduct a rite of passage, what I do think that you can either do that if there's people in your region that offer rites of passages, which offers you and your girls a better frame around the menstrual cycle. I think that's really important. But what was beautiful about doing with the moms, and of course, I knew a lot about this because I worked with this, and also there were some other moms that were really familiar with this way of honoring the rhythm of a woman's body. So that's very important. But if there's no one in your group, there's some resources that you can find in C-Lab, and I can point you in that direction. There is a video which you can click here, and it has the wisdom of the cycles, which is something that I learned from my first teacher called Jane Hardwick Collins. So you can click on this and you can see the wisdom of the cycles. Again, I think this is better for you to see than to show your girl, but then you can create things and tell her little by little. The more she progresses, when she's 13, maybe you tell her a little bit. When she's 14, you tell her a little bit more. When she's 16, she's going to be more interested. When she's 17, she's going to start being more open, more curious. When she becomes a young adult, she'll certainly become more open. And then these conversations can be really, really rich. So why is menarche super important as a rite of passage? Because the rites of passages, they build on each other. So you have menarche, the first rite of passage of a woman's, a biological rite of passage, right? So we talked on the last video that we have for women, the rites of passages are menarche, pregnancy and birth, and then menopause. And of course, you have the first rite of passage for everybody, for every human, which is our birth and our death. And then you have other rites of passages, which are, when you go to university, when you get married, that kind of, our lives has lots of rites of passages, but we're talking about the biological ones, right? So menarche, the way that a girl starts living her womanhood, so what she starts hearing, the role models she has around her, the types of influence she has, the women that she copies, all of that is going to start shaping her mind about how it is to be a woman, what it is like to be a woman, what it is to be a cool woman, what it is to be a powerful woman. So, in our culture in this day and age, we have a lot of confusion because a lot of the ways that we're showing our girls that what to be powerful means is to try to mimic a more masculine type of power.